Welcome to The Explainer. I'm so thrilled you're here joining us today. I was just thinking, have you noticed how surprisingly quiet the world of personal tech has gotten lately? It's kind of wild. Today we're diving into a really fascinating behavioral shift, the psychology of the silent phone. Seriously, it's just this tiny little toggle switch on the side of your device or maybe a quick tap in your settings. But as we're going to see today, it represents a massive, profound shift in how we interact with the world and, well, with ourselves. It is a really small action, but man, it leaves a huge psychological footprint.
So think about this for a second. When was the last time your phone actually rang out loud? For a lot of us, hearing a marimba, some digital bell, or a blaring pop song going off in the middle of a grocery store almost feels jarring now, doesn't it? It kind of feels like an intrusion. Today, we're going to break down exactly why our relationship with our devices has fundamentally changed.
Which brings us to part one, the silent phone phenomenon, and how we're moving away from the noise. It's actually completely normal now that so many of us live with our devices entirely muted. And this brilliantly illustrates the shift. A decade ago, a ringing phone, that was exciting. But today, the loud phone represents a purely reactive state. It's tied to this kind of outdated expectation of being constantly available to anyone at any time just because they happen to have your number. You're literally at the mercy of the ring. But in contrast, the silent phone represents an intentional, bounded existence. It's about you actually choosing when to engage. You're moving from just reacting to everything to being proactive.
Now, in this explainer, we're specifically looking at the psychology of people who always keep their phone on silent. We aren't just talking about, muting it for a 2-hour movie or flipping it off for a strict business meeting. Nope, this isn't a temporary setting anymore. It's a deliberate, permanent behavioral shift. It's an absolute lifestyle choice to live with that mute switch firmly and permanently toggled on.
Okay, let's dive into this next part. Section 2, the psychology of disconnection, or what's actually behind the silent switch. So what's actually going on in our brains when we make this choice? Psychologically speaking, this is the attitude of blocking out digital noise specifically to protect your mental state. Unanswered phones used to mean someone was antisocial or aloof or just totally disconnected. But psychology shows us it's actually the exact opposite. It's a sign of really high emotional intelligence and self-awareness. It's an active, totally necessary measure to protect your cognitive load and maintain a healthy mental state in what is, let's be honest, an overwhelmingly noisy digital era.
And this psychological paradigm shift happens in clear steps. Step 1 is acknowledging the digital noise. You really have to first realize that constant notifications are fracturing your attention, they're breaking your focus, and they're causing this constant baseline level of anxiety. You can't fix what you don't acknowledge, right? Once you recognize that reality, you move right into step 2, choosing intentional disconnection. It's an active, deliberate step to curate your digital environment. You are literally taking back power from that little piece of glass and metal in your pocket, and you're deciding that your immediate physical environment and your current mental focus take precedence over the digital world.
Which brings us right back to our core concept from the source material, the psychology of people who always keep their phone on silent. This isn't just some fleeting trend that's going to disappear tomorrow. It's a recognized, deliberate psychological profile shared by millions of people who have collectively decided, constant auditory alerts are just completely incompatible with my well-being.
Let's move on and see how this builds into our final section. Section 3, the pursuit of peace, the ultimate motive.
We've talked about the widespread phenomenon, we've gone through the psychological steps, but what's the actual end goal of flipping that switch? Well, it is quite simply about peace. It's such a profound concept, honestly. It strips away all that complex technological jargon, all those endless debates about screen time, and gets straight to the deeply human heart of the matter. People aren't silencing their phones because they suddenly hate technology or because they dislike their friends and family. No way. They're silencing their phones because they are actively, intentionally seeking tranquility.
Now, what's really interesting about this idea is how we define it today. In our modern, hyper-connected world, peace literally means freedom from digital disturbance. It is the ultimate psychological strategy for personal tranquility. Just think about that for a second. Back in the day, achieving peace might have meant, retreating to a quiet cabin in the woods or meditating on a mountaintop. But today, peace can be achieved right in the middle of a bustling city, riding on a crowded subway, simply by ensuring you have that intentional freedom from interruption. So how does this actually play out in your day-to-day life? Well, achieving this peace means 3 absolutely crucial things. First, controlling your own attention. When your phone is silent, you decide when to look at it, rather than the device demanding you look at it right this exact second. Second, reducing reactionary stress. You know those little micro fight-or-flight cortisol spikes you get when a loud ringtone goes off? Silencing the phone removes that recurring physical stress. And third, curating a safe mental space where your thoughts can just flow uninterrupted. It's amazing how the simple physical act of flicking that tiny little switch yields these massive, profound psychological benefits.
So, the crucial point here is this. It's not avoidance, it's a strategy. To anyone who thinks keeping a phone on silent is just about hiding from the world or dodging responsibilities, we really need to flip the script. This is the ultimate reframe. This habit actually empowers you. It is a highly effective, deliberate choice to manage your energy, your time, and your mental health in an era of absolute information overload.
Which brings us to the end of our explainer today. I really want to leave you with this final, important thought to chew on. Are you ready to protect your peace? Seriously, take a look at your own device right now. Think about the way it makes you feel when it unexpectedly rings or buzzes. Are your digital boundaries serving your mental health, or are they just serving everybody else's convenience? It might be time to flip that switch. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really hope this breakdown leaves you wanting to learn even more about the everyday psychology behind our digital lives.